No, we don't do it. We don't edit.
Okay.
So we're being interrupted because we are live, and thanks a lot. That's cool.
Right.
And this is Carnival of Random. This is obviously, we still have our festive Christmas music because it's the season. And actually, though, this weekend is Frank Sinatra's birthday, Taylor Swift's birthday, so I could call this our Sinatra and Swift birthday spectacularly because we have really good guests for that perfectly. Greg blew up because he's a drummer. So we're trying to put them back together for next year, but we have Paul in for now.
I can play a drummer.
No, because then you'll blow up. Oh, we have to get our picture here while we're talking even. Ad-libbing everything on this show. And smile.
Cool.
Notice we don't plan anything. And we're very thrilled to have in the studio. He's no stranger to this studio or anything. Jeremy Grace.
Well, it's good to be here.
Yes, for the show finally, because you've been here before.
Yeah.
And I've been saying this, when you see people and you go, this is going to be another pillar of the music scene. I said that about Adriana, but I think our guest here is going to be right with her, and we're very thrilled to have her. Julia Weatherholtz. Hi.
That's so sweet to say. Thank you. Hello.
Well, I have to butter my guests up so you don't say, damn, we're show out of 5. Okay, she's horrible, but we needed somebody this week. So we have, again, small world. I lived in Alexandria in the 90s, and you're from Richmond, right?
Yeah.
What brought you to our somewhat fair city? The
Great
weather?
question. Yeah, I'm here for the weather. Just love the cold. Love the snow.
That's what brings
It's the
everybody
4
in.
seasons.
Yeah. Like, where can I go for my hands to be the driest and most uncomfortable and cracked? And so I moved here. Now, I go to RIT. I moved here in 2019, kind of, because then COVID happened, but 2019 to be involved in the American Sign Language interpreting program at RIT. So I've been here since then, but I moved in, late August, and then stayed here until COVID happened, and so 4 months, and then got booted back to Virginia. I had to stay the rest of the year there, and then came back again. And that's when I, got involved with you guys. So I've been here and there, but mostly here since 2019.
Yeah, the whole story is always, I'm starting to believe more and more in serendipity. And Adriana had a gig at Love and Cup. Mm-hmm. It's always, and Julie was there, and she went up to sing a song. And that's how we sort of, got everything going together, it appears. But Jeremy, what's your story in terms of music? When did you start, and how did you get involved in all this?
Boy, I was I've always strummed the guitar. I was kind of a self-taught acoustic guitar strummer. And I never was serious about it, and I was working, and life was complicated, and I never thought it was something that I could do. But then when I moved to Geneseo, my life finally settled down. And about 10 years after I moved into Geneseo, I started meeting musicians, and I always knew that I just didn't really want to do anything except play music. And so really, I've been playing seriously in bands for about 10 or 15 years now.
And I think the whole story with Adriana, too, was she was at a talent contest, and all of you, like Chuck and you and everybody was there.
Actually, we met Adriana through a friend of Chuck's named Kent Cromer.
Oh, yeah, Kent.
And Chuck and I had met Chuck just a few years ago, and we had started kind of a Monday night jam that was just like an open jam, and we were just, goofing around. We each had other projects going on. But Kent introduced us to Adriana, and we immediately said, well, this could be, this is really interesting. We loved the songs, we loved the vocals, and so that turned into a project. And then through that project, we met Julia, like you were saying.
Now, do you have ever, where you think you're going to play like a Julia show or Adriana show, where you play the wrong band's song? One of my friends did that for one band. It's like he starts out, I think he was on acid though, okay, so there's an excuse. And I just saw the look, I'm thinking, wait a second, this is from his other band. And the other band members are looking at him. In Rochester, sometimes that becomes a problem because everybody just... There's a lot of bands and everything. But you notice, what's the common denominator in these bands? Chuck and Jeremy, so maybe it's them.
No. We just have a really...
You two are just on their coattails.
We just have a really good ear for, we hear somebody like Julia, and immediately, literally at the gig where we met her at Love and Cup, and after she came up and sang Valerie, right? Mm-hmm. Which I botched and got completely wrong because I hadn't played it for a long time. But Chuck and I, immediately afterwards were like, we need to, this was amazing, and we should jam. So we started jamming, and it was really sporadic. It was nothing serious over the summer. We got together a couple times.
With random people, too.
With random people, yeah. Some strange people. But that's that's the music world.
That's like us on the
But then
show.
you met Andrew, and then you brought Andrew in, and then all of a sudden there was like a solid core.
Yeah.
And then CJ joined up as well. And
That's
then all
like
of a
us
sudden-
on the show sometimes. Like we'll go up by the dumpster if there's a guy going through the yards. Hey, you want to be on a podcast today?
You never know who you're going to meet by a dumpster. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes that's interesting people.
That's how we do that. But I recognize us immediately how good you were. And how did you start? Did it just come? I found most singers. It's just when you have that talent, it comes naturally. How did you just start singing? Did you have any influences in anything at first? And I like from your generation, it's always different from ours, where it's like, who's this artist?
Right. Well, actually, I didn't know that I could sing until like 5 years ago. Growing up, I was really active in my school's band. I played flute. And I was pretty decent at it, not gonna lie. And I'd say, honestly, at the height of my flautist career, I was way better at flute than I am a vocalist, hands down. Yeah, like significantly better. I haven't picked it up for a really long time.
Well, I didn't even know about the flute.
Yeah.
You're going to have to bring that to the
That's-
practice
You have to work
tonight.
that in.
Yeah.
I haven't played for a really long time. But yeah, that was my primary instrument, and I saw myself being in like a pit orchestra kind of thing in the future. And then it was kind of like a water into wine situation. I got really sick in high school, and I did marching band all the way through. But then my senior year, I was too sick to do marching band. And my band director came over to me, and he's like, I want you to keep being involved in band, and I know that this is not accessible for you at the moment. So how would you like to sing in jazz band? My senior year of high school. And I was kind of like, what? Like, me? I don't really sing. I had brought in a guitar, and during lunchtimes, we would always all the band kids would go to the band room, right, instead of the lunchroom. So we'd like pass around the guitar and sing, and he had heard me then. And he asked me to sing in jazz band. And honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't be singing. And that's when you know you have a good teacher.
Great teacher.
Yeah, it's when they see
Great.
something in you
Yeah.
that you don't even see in yourself. So I owe it all to Mr. Leon Amen. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple years ago.
Oh.
So he doesn't even know that I'm out here doing
You
all
hope in a
this.
way he knows, you know.
Right.
I'm like one of those not going to talk about religious stuff or my beliefs or what I don't believe, but you hope he knows. Or like he's like, you can go, look, I made you proud.
Right, and I owe literally all of it to him, and then the amazing village of people that seem to support me. So I'm super thankful, and I just kind of stumbled upon it out of suggestion, pretty much. And the rest is history.
And I say it's never too late either. Some people are naturals. Like some people start from they're like 2 years old singing or composing. Like my friend Alyssa, I think she started first writing her songs when she was like 14. She's written like 700 of them now.
Yeah.
You know, she even had one on a soap opera, which is, I know I want that. Yeah, she just had one on Days of Our Lives. She gets 20 cents as usual for it. So, but other people start later. I've always liked to say that it's never too late to do what you want to do, or change things around.
Yeah,
Is
definitely.
you fall into something, and obviously you seem to love it. And the thing I'll say immediately for, like, seeing you play, you have a natural ability up there where some people are really like grabbing the mic or don't know how to stand without a guitar, or like you could bring the flute up just because you'd have something to hold on to. But you're very natural the way you stand and move and everything. Now, some people don't. You see some really nervous singers. You don't have to jump around like an idiot or whatever.
That's funny you say that, because when I'm up there, I'm like, where do I put my hands, and where do I... Yeah, so that's really interesting you say
It
that.
doesn't come across at all. I watched a video of yours last night on YouTube, and you're just very relaxed and very
Well,
natural
thank
at the
you.
mic stand.
I
So it
think-
was,
Well,
it was
here's-
from Iron Smoke.
The first or the second
Yeah.
time, do you know? Like from recently?
The one that was on the video.
Gotcha.
One Rob sent me the
we
link
just
to.
created a new YouTube channel
Oh, right,
yesterday.
right.
So there was an old one floating around that was Andrew's father's, but now we have an official
This is
one.
like a thing I said. and We just told the story off air. We always tell the interesting ones. So, how did you come up with the name Hot Soup?
That's funny. Me and our bass player, Andrew, we were driving to a different gig through a different company called Nick and the Nice Guys. That's how we met. It's just a local thing here.
We
in
know,
Rochester.
yeah, we-
Okay,
yeah,
so
we know- we all know
Knows
Gary.
everybody.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So many people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
hockey
yeah.
coach. I think the hockey coach Mike Keenan was a member.
Of Nick and the Nice Guys?
Yeah, I think he was.
I feel like everyone's been a member at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were driving to a gig a little while ago, and before that, the band had thrown out a couple different names, and by a couple I mean like a lot, and some of them like stuck a little bit, and no one was like super on board with all of them. It was kind of just like, we'll go with that. And then he was driving, and I was looking. I don't even know what town we were in at that point. And I looked around, and there was this big like handwritten sign in like this goofy handwriting, super like sloppy, taped, kind of almost falling over in the window, and it just said "Hot Soup." And I was like, that would be a funny band name. Or maybe he said that. I don't know.
This is how it comes up. See if anybody knows this. Our good friend Tommy, he had a band. He's been on the show. He's a friend of the show. He had a band called Wilksley and Crump. Does anybody know where he got the name from? You won't.
I have no idea.
You might. I don't think you would because you live farther away. It's right. Go around the corner here. There's a Wilksley and Crump building in Pittsburgh. And you happen to drive by and see the name.
Perfect.
And I thought it was like something out of Margaret Atwood or Ratchet and Clank or something. But no, that's one of my friends said his band was the American Moondogs, and he said the one thing he thought of was just said, try to picture something that would look good on a T-shirt.
Yeah.
So you could have like a drummer sinking in a thing of soup.
Oh yeah, the Hot Soup has all sorts of possibilities for graphic design, and we're only beginning to even think about that.
Because like say you were like the cheesecakes. What are you going to put one of those? But it's fun to think of how some people get band names and everything. I just think it's kind of funny where it comes from. Like the Beatles, they want it to be. They love Buddy Holly, and they want it to be the Crickets. And then if you see early drum heads, you see Beatles with the little antennas. You could find these online. But then they change it to Beatles, not to be confused with the Crickets.
I didn't know that.
I'll have to look in Andy's book about Beatles gear.
Yeah, you could see it.
Yeah.
You could find it right online. It's like early. This has got a little antenna on it and everything. So it's like that. But one of the comparisons I've been making to, and again, Adriana comes up a lot here because of the connection, is I noticed the comparison I made to both bands is a little like Led Zeppelin in the way that, okay, Page and John Paul Jones were like 24 and 23, but they'd been around for years. Jimmy Page had been on at least 500 recordings that we know of. Plant and Bonham were from the Black Country in the North. They were like local, and they were the younger people, if you want to call it that. And I noticed the mix between younger people and people a little older, not old.
Well, thank you.
Except for the drummer.
Except for Chuck.
Except for the drummer.
Because we make fun of, that's a rule on the show, we make fun of drummers.
Fun of drummers who aren't here
All the
in
time.
particular.
But what kind of dichotomy does that? Oh, you're going to go spring through the roof or fall through the trapdoor for the end of the show. We'll get the mass drummer in. But what kind of dichotomy does that bring to the band? Sort of the old experience and the newer talent. Right. And how do you play off each other?
I love it personally. I think it adds, like, I have pretty limited experience. I haven't been singing for long, and I definitely have not been gigging for long at all. So I really like, it's kind of like, I don't know the right word. I know I can, if I fall, someone's going to catch me, because you guys have been in the game for
Not
a while.
the drummer.
Yeah,
It
except
was
for
like, get her.
Nah, Chuck's great.
You're like, give me your
Chuck's
shot.
So I like, and like they just have a different pool of inspiration, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so it's really cool having two different like sets of inspiration, if that makes sense, and seeing how they can merge and mix and stuff. I really enjoy it.
I think a lot, like, this is like a big problem I would bring up names like Richie Blackmore, Jeff Beck especially, that you think about like what Beck could have done if he could actually work with people. You have to be able to work with people, and you have to not have, I always call it, you have to have confidence in yourself, but not like egomania, where if somebody says, you bring something to the table, you have to be able to acknowledge, somebody goes, that's good, but let's try this, and actually that's better. Not like, no, it's my idea, you have to play it my way. Yeah. And I think if you're open to that, the creativity really flows.
And Hot Soup, I would say, is an exciting project for me in that regard. Everybody's bringing stuff to the table, and everybody's welcoming this stuff, and that's just super fun, because then it's like the magic happens.
Right.
Right.
Can you tell us a little about your other band members? Because we know Chuck, the drummer, and Jeremy, obviously.
We have Andrew Parator on bass. Again, I met him through a different gigging kind of situation, and he went to Fredonia. Is that how you say it?
Fredonia for free.
I'm not from here, so I don't really know how to say anything.
I know, because one of my
It'll take
friends
decades,
went there.
really. Everything's messed up
It's
here.
not think Marx Brothers
Charlotte.
movie, Marx Brothers Mythical Kingdom movie, Fredonia.
Yeah, so I know he went there, graduated, and he did the cruise ship thing for a while. And I think he was with Norwegian. Andrew, if you're listening, sorry, correct me if I'm wrong.
That's why we lie.
Yeah,
because we make mistakes and don't look stuff up.
Right, exactly. And yeah, now he's from here. I think he was born here and his family's here, so he stuck around. And then CJ,
And he's just an amazingly highly trained
Oh,
jazz
yeah.
bassist. I
Oh,
mean, he's
yeah.
been studying jazz bass his entire life.
So he plays more than 2 chords.
Yeah, his musical chops are so far off the charts.
yeah, it's stupid. It's
yeah.
crazy. It's great.
Yeah, we had
And he's
the-
kind of emerged as not the band leader, I would say, but the person that really helps us focus in and think and break down and attack and think about structure and think about parts and openings and closings. And then he tells us all how, he doesn't tell us things, but he's the one that moves it in that direction. And that keeps us, sharp and tight, which I
Right.
appreciate in a band.
Like
me
the
too.
I love jam bands.
like
but
the professional musician. We had the Pickle
Exactly.
Mafia, and it reminds me of those guys because they were all like they spent hours in here just talking shop about music and jamming. And everything. And I used to have the joke with Greg Townsend because for the High Risers they have that song One Note Joe. I said, "Well, do a jazz version, 42 Note Joe."
Too many notes.
No, but somebody's got to. Sure, there's got to be some people like, let's get together, let's
Right.
make music, let's
Right.
do this.
But somebody has to kind of step up a little bit and say we need a little bit of structure and direction without sacrificing anybody's creativity or what they're bringing to the table. And Andrew is just doing that perfectly
Scaffolding.
with it. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
sure.
Scaffolding's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, and I already like the mix. You do covers and you do your originals, which I think is the way to go. And then you sort of ease more into your originals. But I think always is going to be toss some covers out the crowds. Like, plus you like to play them. Like, your other band's going to turn into like a Leonard Cohen cover band. I think down the line.
Yeah, you wish.
I'm just such a Leonard Cohen fan.
should do a whole
Adriana
set.
is too. So
Yeah, you should do a whole set.
I would love it.
I
would
told
be-
her what
yeah.
you do is you do like there was a band my friend Rob Mount was in called 50/50, and they were a cover band, but they would do like, okay, one set would be like pick one of those 70s bands, okay, REO Speedwagon. So next set would be like a mix of like 70s, 80s. You do once, and Michaela did this too with their Grateful Dead tour, where it would be I would see her first set, then within the 28-minute first song of the Dead set, I'd probably say, "See ya." I love her, but it's like that's okay. I'm just the patchouli got me.
Right.
But what you do is you tell Adriana, you have a show, and you go, okay, we're going to play first set. We're going to open for ourselves. We're going to play originals, and then we're going to play Leonard
The
Cohen.
Leonard Cohen mini set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
Well, this
seeing-
band is nice because I think that what the originals are helping us do, because we're all new to each other, is figure out our each other's sensibilities, right? What are they bringing to the table? And for me, the incredible thing, back to your earlier question about the age range in this band, is I'm being exposed now to music that I wasn't aware of, and that's extraordinary.
Bringing
you
up,
know, it-
as I said, we're haunted by Adriana because of this, but like when she's at the studio, I've heard of all these things. I never heard of like what Sheila Lennon, Feist, of course,
right? Yeah,
Billie Eilish.
yeah.
Because that's from her generation, and the other. And then it would be nice, like, oh, Sunshine in Your Love. What's that?
Right, right.
I got you. But where do you come from, musical background wise? What do you like, and do you have any influences or?
It's kind of a funny question to answer because I didn't really grow up listening to music. I grew up in a very evangelical, fundamentalist Christian
You weren't the first of my friends.
background, and I wasn't really allowed to listen to a lot of
Well, it
pop
promotes
music.
Satanism and the devil, and
clearly.
we all signed our souls away at the first concert. When you go to a Black Sabbath concert, this was nobody knows this, but you go. They're sacrificing the bunnies in one end, but you have to get in.
Sign me up.
But to get in, you have to cut your hand and you have to sign your soul over just to go see them.
Totally.
What?
I'm in line.
No, I had friends of mine. My parents were very liberal in terms of letting me go to shows. Like one of my friends wanted to go see Ozzy. His parents would not let him because they said, "Oh, he worships the devil." Did you ever go to a show where he says, "God bless you"? Did you know Geezer Butler is a Christian?
I missed the whole heavy metal thing. I mean, it was around in the 80s, but
We would go to anything, we would go to anything at the time, and they started wearing the crosses because weirdos would come to their hotel room. And why did they write the stuff they did? Geezer Butler just enjoyed writing that kind of stuff. It was fun. It's fun. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Don't take life so seriously.
I'm with you.
That's the great lesson of music, isn't it?
But then I don't that's what I like about playing with older players is that they have that background knowledge, just common music knowledge. I don't have common bands, information about them. I don't have that. It's a massive.
In a way,
gap.
I think it's awesome though too because you can discover all this stuff. It's new to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Right.
I'm old and cynical, and nothing
Right.
surprises me. So is Paul. Just looking, he's tired.
Yeah.
Just
Jaded,
Jaded,
completely
that's the
jaded, yeah.
we're jaded in life, defeated. You still have everything ahead of you.
So who are the writers in the group?
Oh, we have to
I'm
guess
one of
what
them,
he's.
yeah.
And I have to say, I love that one song. I just the only word I know is lightning. Is
Goodbye, Rosita.
Oh, Goodbye,
Yeah.
Rosita.
leave me alone. I'm not good with lyrics, especially the first time.
the
But
lightning.
it's got like a Western sort of vibe. You can hear it. I can hear it in a Tarantino movie.
Right,
2
that's what I
seconds.
was going for. You know, the band that influenced that song would have been Calexico. I don't know if you know
Oh,
them
yeah.
at all. Kind of, they have that big kind of southwestern guitar sound, but it's all strange and open, and that's actually what I was
Tell us
exactly
about
what
yours.
I
You've
was
done
aiming for.
3 now, haven't you? Written 3?
Oh, I've
or
got
2?
dozens. We've got
The ones you
4
played so far,
4, I
though.
think, that we're doing in this project. Right?
That sounds right, yes.
Yeah, we've got that one, the last.
What do you like,
Rosita.
George Harrison now, like with the Beatles before, where you've got all these songs you could get
right.
out?
I quit at lunch every day.
Yeah. No, but that's why he put All Things Must Pass up, because he had such a backlog,
Right,
because
right.
you could only get so many on the album.
Right.
You know, and you have to deal with your drummer, of course, because put it on. But you have you've been playing 3 at the moment, right? And you're
We've been playing 4. I mean, I've got dozens and dozens in the background, but we're taking it slow. We're trying to build a set, and as we were saying earlier, you need to sort of balance everybody's interest in doing original music with finding good covers, things that are going to get a crowd, sort of responding, and songs that we love and love to play. So right now we're still in the process of saying let's stay focused on building what we've got, and then we'll see where it goes in the long run, and then hopefully introduce more. And because we'd have actually 3 writers in the group, and they're all
that's when you
extremely good.
You always get material, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's the thing where you really have to cooperate as a band and go, okay,
Exactly.
this is what we want to do.
Right.
This is what we're going to do. Nobody has to get an ego or like you only
Exactly.
did 2 of these songs, one of my
Right,
songs.
right. And you
or
start
whatever.
counting it up, and from the perspective of a songwriter, I mean, for me, nothing makes me happier than hearing a vocalist like Julia take on the song, right? Because I'm a competent singer, but I don't consider myself a great singer. But so I have this natural instinct. It's like, oh yeah, okay, I want to try this one, try this one, try this one. But you don't want to at the same time overwhelm, because the singer has to believe in the song.
Yeah.
And it may be a great song, but not for that singer. I've had other people ask me to sing songs, and if I don't believe in it, it's tough, and you don't want to do it that way.
It would be
So-
like the Who a little, where Townsend would sing some of the songs, but Daltrey's his voice.
Right.
But he would pull it because he knows Daltrey's got a better voice too. But you do have to believe in the song and go with it like that, I think. But that's like good and everything, because it just seems you go to see your shows, and it's high energy, and it is like a soup.
It is.
And
It
I've been,
is.
I've been using the joke. You just call yourself bouillabaisse in the cold weather here, but it's so many different. It's like so many different styles and everything. You're going, wait a second, that's kind of like Western. That's soul.
Right.
This is rock.
There's
And
jazz.
the thing you do is
pure
do
blues,
covers. My friend Todd Kratz did this at some gigs. He would do like Hank the Third and other ones, and nobody knew they weren't his songs. But like when Adriana does that Justin Timberlake song, me being like an alternative guy, I didn't know what the heck it was.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
But
song.
everybody does. Like by all means, do Jolene. I seen like 5 friends do it, but pick something like off the beaten path a little bit that you really like.
Yep. I would say that's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
We definitely, people are bringing song ideas to the table of possible covers, and we're trying to get as big a sort of variety of different sounds and textures as possible. But I think that's also because we're also very young, right? We've only really been a band for about 2 or 3 months. I mean, serious practices for about 2 or 3 months now. And we're still trying to figure out what the identity is with these 5 very different musicians with totally
I
different
think
musical
it's
backgrounds. And how do
osmosis.
we,
I think you blend.
know,
It's organic. You see, like everybody we see. Go on, Paul.
I was going to say, even talking to Chuck about Adriana's project, he said, he's got to tone it down because he likes to wail on the drums, and he has to go for a soft touch with her. And it's interesting seeing musicians adapt to the people that they're playing with and changing their style and getting over their natural tendency to go in one direction or another.
Yeah.
And he felt we had a great conversation about it that night. And he
You
said,
talked to a drummer and got more than like 2 syllables out of the guy.
"Come on, I'm sitting. I've got to be the drummer's advocate. I'm sitting in the drummer's chair today."
There you go.
But
It's a rule on this show to make fun of
he
them.
said, I know, but he said it was really interesting for him playing with her because it made him rethink the songs, and he says we're still going for that sound, and I thought your sound was great. I'm looking forward to seeing you live, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting to hear how that
It's
sound
an interesting
evolves
thing
over
too,
time.
It's fun.
for
It's part of the
perspective.
learning
You're
process.
playing with somebody who's like a great singer-songwriter, but it's more alternative. And I would say this is more soul, louder.
Right.
How is that perspective too? Like you have to know to tone it down or blast it up or whatever.
Yeah.
Now if you were like doing an Eagles of Death Metal cover band, would you be open to that?
Nope.
Just for a
In
change.
that band.
But like Julia too. Now, obviously, he's performed before Chuck's performed. How was it like your first gig with them, and how did it go, and where was it, and everything? First time I saw you play, obviously, you just went up on stage and sung Valerie.
Oh, so you were there for that
Yeah.
one? Oh, funny. You've seen the whole evolution.
You've seen the whole evolution,
That's pretty
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I remember Adriana's playing Leslie. Like, oh, this is Julia. She's got to be on our podcast. Like, try to sell people to me all the time.
When Leslie came over to me, I was a little bit mortified because I was just like, oh my gosh, this is some other person's whole gig. Like, how dare I come and sing a song? But Adriana was really sweet about it, and I'm thankful that she let us do that, and Leslie put my name in the hat.
And how did you you knew the song too, which is cool.
Well, Valerie is, anybody who,
Well, for
who
me, I don't
jams
know.
around.
I don't know that kind of stuff.
There's always singers that like to sing Valerie, so I'd had some exposure to other singers, and I'd jammed Valerie, but not for like 3 or 4 years, and I just completely messed it up. And oh my god, I was embarrassed.
We pulled it off, and it was great.
You know what you do? Here's a tip: like if you're singing and you're just not feeling it, just pretend the mic goes out.
Yeah, there you go.
Just start mouthing and just go.
I actually haven't pulled that card yet, but that's a good one.
Keep it. You never know. You might have
great
one of those
idea.
shows. You might have one of those shows that does it and everything. And then, you were at Iron Smoke before this, I take it, because I think Tommy brought you back because you were just really good.
Yeah, speaking of our first
first
show,
real gig.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were opening for Tommy, which was a great experience. We're super thankful for that. I feel like that was a great way to kind of make a dive.
Iron Smoke's a great place to play.
Oh,
good.
what a
Good.
room! Just
Yeah.
the comfort of the room.
Yeah.
It's
And
my
he's got a
favorite
way of
pla-
selling the shows. I'll walk in with them. I'll say, hey, Tommy, how's it going to be tonight? Could be good. If it's not good, you got whiskey to drink and make it good.
But it was a slightly awkward gig because we'd only really had about a month of practice to get it organized, and we had to use their entire back line. So the guitarists were using amps we were unfamiliar with, and Andrew was in a bass rig he wasn't familiar with, and that's it's always hard enough just to get out of the jam room and onto any stage with your own gear, but then to have to use other people's gear. But it worked,
did.
And I think too, I can remember the first Fox 45 gig, and I remember what happened with them when they went on stage at the Bug Jar. It was really bad for about 4 songs because they were nervous, and you could just tell they were playing too fast. And then they calmed down, and it was good. And I think because you have an older presence who've been there, they could just even give you the look relax, calm it down a little. We've been here. Let them boo us when I goof up Valerie.
right. Right.
But I think there's a perspective too. A lot of people bring everything to the table where you grew up saying I love this singer, I love that singer, I love this band. You're newer to this, like you said, you didn't listen to music, so it's like a blank slate for you where you're discovering and you have your own style. So that makes it sort of unique, because I try to automatically, people just use sense memory. Who does this sound like? And I have no freaking clue.
For me?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I have
funny.
I'll never get people say Adriana sounds like Stevie Nicks, and I don't get that. But I figured
I
they
don't get
listen
that
to
either.
Stevie Nicks,
Right. You
so
hear
they
the
probably
influences.
bring
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I get influence from everywhere, pretty much. Like you said, it was kind of a blank slate as I got older in my teenage years, and with the internet and YouTube and stuff, I could finally go and find music outside of just the Sound of Music.
I've never seen that movie yet.
In plays like that, I'm sure that you know what I'm talking about. In England, that's just such a big.
We have Jill's in the Peanut Gallery again.
Yes. So you know how big the Sound of Music is over there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I grew up being allowed to watch that and listen to that. So anyway, once I got older, I had, like you said, blank slate, able to kind of find what I liked. And what really stuck for me was jazz. For sure, it was jazz. So that's probably my biggest pool of influence, for sure. It's just so...
The easy music.
Yeah, so easy. Yeah. It's just so beautifully written, and I like how you can take such... It's probably some of these songs are 100 years old now, and you can take that and then add your own spin to it, and other people that know the song can appreciate what you did well and what you didn't do well. So it's kind of like a little circle of people that also understand what you're doing or don't.
That's
Does that
all
make
us
sense?
weirdos on the scene, all of us.
Yeah.
That's all us on the local scene. But I also, what I like about it, it's real. And the case is, okay, you can get bands out there and bless them. I'm glad they do it. They're playing popular. They're doing it for the money. That's not really. But I think with jazz, it's about feeling. You have to be able to play off people. And I'll never forget, I saw Herb Smith, a friend of the show. He's been on the show. He had a gig this summer. they're playing, and some idiots messaging me while we're doing this, which is usual. Somebody said, probably Greg, I'll be there in 5 minutes. But so Herb Smith is playing, right? They're doing a song. He stops afterwards and he goes, I gotta say it, that was the best fucking take we've ever done. Because it's what happens is I think you play off people, you know what another person's going to do. I'm doing this solo, you're going to do this. And that comes from playing together and knowing each other. And it becomes spontaneous, the creativity, where it's not like, okay, we're doing this. You have to, like the Eagles, where Don Felder said in his book, you had to play every note exactly. Exactly, and there's a story goes, a friend told me, couldn't give the names, he said he paid somebody, I guess, in the sound system like $500 to screw it up because Don was such a anal retentive about you think you go to a show, like if you saw Eric Clapton, people who saw Eric Clapton probably want to see him blow off into like 5 to 10 minute solos. They don't want to just hear, it's like if I bought the record, I can hear it at home.
Right.
You know,
that's jazz is nice that way because it opens up all sorts of possibilities, you know, for the song to be different every single time.
Plus, if you forget all the other songs, you could turn one song into an hour set.
Exactly.
I saw Walter Werbos one time. Now, you might not know the name. He played for Sonic Youth, like 450. He's like this Dutch trombonist. He did a set at the Bop Shop. 50 minutes straight, spit was coming out of his trombone. But like Jeremy, like for you, what was like really like sort of the first albums that influenced you?
Well, my parents were
top 10 because I don't like them, but whatever you listen to.
My parents were 60s hippies, but of the kind of the political activist variant rather than the psychedelic variant. So there was a lot of Peter, Paul, and Mary and Bob Dylan around, and the early Bob Dylan, the political Bob Dylan. But as a teenager, then I ran into the Grateful Dead. And that just obsessed me for the rest of my life. Pretty much every stadium parking lot in the East and West Coast. I toured with them. You know, I followed them around and did that whole thing for a while. And Bob Weir, the guitarist for the Grateful Dead, I think is one of the most underappreciated rhythm guitarists of all time. I just think he's an extraordinary player. He's so melodic. He's so unusual. I still don't have a clue what he's doing. But I spent, my years trying to figure it out. And I have kind of a very pale, wrong imitation of him that became my own thing. But later I discovered people like Lucinda Williams, and I love her guitarist, Doug Pettibone, that big, swampy kind of southern sound I love. But also on the Americana side, the guitarist for Gillian Welch, Dave Rollins, was a revelation to me. So I come out of that kind of jam band or Americana background, and I don't know jazz for shit.
You can fake it really well.
And so just joining this project, I've had to learn all sorts of new chords and different ways to voice things. And we just worked up in 2 practices a version of Summertime which for me is like opening up my whole universe about possibility. And I'm really excited about the song and taking what we're doing kind of in that direction.
And I heard its debut.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
We worked it twice.
I like probably my favorite version is Miles Davis.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
You don't have to sing that when it's instrumental. But yeah, like Michaela started doing that. She got involved with Bob Weir. She'd been on stage with them, and they've been doing their. And I respect them for doing that because they would be covering the whole live album.
Right.
And and I figure people when they want to hear that, they want to hear done well, obviously. But I think the beauty of that music is you don't know where it's going to take you. Where you could start off and go, okay, pop song, 2 minutes, 50 seconds. This, we're going to go where it takes. You're going to do this and everything else.
And I love the idea that every performance, the song is different, right? I don't want to do the note-for-note thing. I want the evening to kind of dictate the feel of the song. And if it goes off in a completely different direction, and we haven't talked about CJ yet.
I know, I realize.
CJ
is the quiet member.
CJ is the most unusual, out-of-left-field guitarist I have ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a musical genius. He owns that instrument, and he also plays the sax, and he owns that. But his sax playing, I would say, is a little bit more like you can hear mainstream sax, whereas his guitar, I just don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, me neither.
But I'm so blown away by it that I lose what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm just like, this is so interesting and so unusual.
It's like another Sam Snyder for around here, Overhand Sam, who's like just everywhere.
Yeah, and CJ, he's just a monster.
I love like all these people I meet who are like a couple years younger than me, and they have more talent than I'll ever.
Yeah.
How does that feel? It's like
yeah.
Yeah, CJ's something else, and we He kind of just randomly joined our group, super last minute. He was our last member to join. And it was really like the cherry on top that we were looking for, that I didn't even know we were looking for. And then we heard him, and I was like, oh my God.
I think you need that. You'll see a lot of times, and you're lucky that way too, because a lot of bands, I see the evolution, is it always be like they'll have a problem with one member, so they don't get the bass player right, they don't get the drummer right, or because they just don't fit well. And they finally just find somebody who gels.
Yeah. And that happened to us when we were doing kind of the jams last summer. You know, there were some really talented musicians that came through, but it was just clear that nothing was going to spark from it, you know, and it's nothing about them. That in a different project,
you got to be honest too. So
but,
that's the thing. People, they might get hurt feelings. You got to go. It's not against you. You're fine. It's just not for this band.
It's just something about the chemistry. You know, it either clicks or it's good enough, but not interesting.
I think that's the word I stress all the time for everybody I have on, for talent, for the show too. In terms of like co-host, everything else, it's chemistry. That's what works. It's like when I started, this show sucked because it really did. Because you learn though. Because but what I would do is I'd be like anal the night before. I'd be writing all these questions down, and you bring in guests, and I can't read my own writing anyways. And then you'd end up
nobody can read your writing.
No. And then you end up just going like this. We don't play. Lucky I remember your names. You know, but that's the way you do it. This is like jazz.
Exactly.
You know, this show is like jazz itself. We just go. I've had people in here, and I'm thinking, oh, we're going to get 20 minutes out of them. It's like an hour and 15 later. I'm going. I have to go get one of those monster cereals boxes so I can collect it before they go out of style.
Yeah. Well, everything in life is about chemistry.
We have people call us on the show. They answer the phone.
Yeah. But, you know, when you have a great conversation with somebody, it's like, you know, some of my great friends, I don't know them except in the context of you just sit down and you just instantly spark, and you know that you can have a conversation that would last all afternoon, and you'll learn something, and it'll be profound and interesting. And then there's other people who I love for other reasons and are important in my life, but I wouldn't want to spend an afternoon over
But like when I met you, and I'm like...
Or 10 minutes for some
I was being polite.
Let's talk about the election. Oh, bye, I got to go.
My mom is calling.
But it's the same thing
I have
with
somebody
music.
I can talk political philosophy with who doesn't think I'm insane.
Right.
You know Aquinas sucks.
I mean, for me, like, meeting Rob has been intriguing because, you know, at first I was like, who's this guy that comes to all the Adriana gigs? But then the next thing I know, we're talking about Rousseau. And how does that happen, you know, at Abilene Bar and Lounge that we're talking political
That's
philosophy?
okay.
You know,
First album. There you go. First album. Talking Rousseau at Abilene.
Yeah.
But do you want to, like, get into the writing process, or have you written anything, Julie? I don't think you have yet.
So my problem is because I am such a lover and pull a lot of influence from jazz, I can't write a Gershwin tune. Why would I try to write a Gershwin tune?
Even Gershwin couldn't write a Gershwin tune.
Like, everything about jazz it's so perfect, and it's there for a reason, or it's not there for a reason, and it's really hard to add something to what has already been said in the jazz realm. And so I find it very difficult, and that's what I would want to write, but I find it pretty near impossible.
Now you're going to get tons of like jazz recommendations from me. I'm going to message you.
Sweet, I'm down.
Awesome and everything.
I have written a few
Tim
things.
Draheim said this perfectly for his band Static Cling and everything. What he said was, look, maybe in a year I can write 3 good songs.
Yeah.
But there's so much great stuff out there, and music's for everyone. So why don't I just do these covers and stuff? You know, we have, like, our other band, we have a really, really good songwriter, but you still mix, you know, the popular stuff, too. But I think for jazz, try to write well, you could bring your flute out and, like, do a Jethro Tull solo. You probably don't know who that is.
I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone at all.
You could stand like a little stork like Ian Anderson.
Yeah, I've tried to write things in the past, and some of them have landed. I actually haven't shared them with the group yet.
We keep asking
I
her,
know.
and
It's just...
Would you like to share it with the class?
It's so vulnerable.
But I also think,
is.
too, but
It's
see, it
very
is,
vulnerable.
you are, like, some people, I can't believe, like, the emotion in some people's songs who can write them. Like, you wrote about this stuff. Or, like, how they are with the phrase. And we always, like I said, we keep bringing Adriana back, but, like, that one song was where she puts a phrase like, did I wear the right shoes? And you think, who's going to think about, this is not bop.
Right,
Somebody's actually
right.
seriously thinking about her craft. But there's no pressure on you at all because you have him writing, you have everybody writing except for the drummer, probably. Does Chuck ever write anything, or does he just play?
No, but he keeps coming at me sometimes with grooves. He's like, I've got this groove. What can we do with it? But and some of that stuff has actually influenced what I do with my own songs.
No, but everyone says there's no rush because you have other people writing. Nobody's like, okay, we need 3 new songs by tomorrow.
Nope, we don't. We had to do that last week.
Yes, actually.
We had to get a 2 hour.
Well,
we didn't have a 2-hour set for Abilene. We had about.
Well,
an hour,
my thing. I told Alyssa that at her gig, I have this weird. If I'm looking weird during a show, and you're like, "What's he staring at my sneakers for?" I have to think about set lists. Right? She even autographed hers and gave it to me because she's like, "Okay, I thought you liked my boots. Well, they're nice too, but
you were looking at the set list.
Yeah, and I can't read it from where I am."
I wouldn't get hung up about not having enough material either, because John Payton, right? It was 545 days between gigs, right, because of COVID, and they were playing at the B-side, and people were raving for an encore, and they're like, we're going to have to repeat something because we don't have enough material for an encore.
Oh, that's been done.
And they did, and people
it.
loved it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Well, we got it wrong the first time.
Yeah.
It should have been a set closer.
No, you do what Greg Townsend would say, well, I'll play this, and this is for anybody who came in late.
That's great.
Yeah.
Because some people do come in late, though, and you didn't hear the first song. It's like he asked me to recommend. It's like, okay, play Just Like Her. Well, I played that already. Well, you could have waited till I got here, to make me look like an idiot in front of everybody here.
But I was really impressed by what happened with us, that we had to come up with another hour of music for the Abilene gig. And a week before the gig, Andrew suggested about 6 or 7 songs.
Wow.
And everybody in the band had them ready by the next time we practiced. We practiced twice, then we managed to squeeze in an extra one. And we had them down. I mean, some of the openings and closings and breaks didn't quite work.
It's got to be fun. That's rock and roll, though. It's like
yeah.
one of my favorite bands, The Faces. I don't want you to get drunk and sloppy, but they're sloppy. It's just rock and roll. It's supposed to be fun.
It's supposed to be open and loose.
Oh, this... Wait a second, this note wrecked my whole thing.
Right.
Now, I am like that with lyrics sometime when people goof lyrics up just because I'm anal about it, where it's like, you didn't sing that right. Or anything else, but that's the way it's supposed to be, it's everything. And I think also, if you're having fun, the crowd knows it. If you're like freaking up there, it's like.
Yeah. But I just wanted to come back to what Julia was saying. I think she's been too shy to bring us like lyrics, but what she's bringing musically is writing, as far as I'm concerned. Like, we did that version of Summertime, and she goes off into the scat part of it. I mean, that is enormous creativity that's right on the table.
Natural.
There. Or when I give her my songs, I learned actually after the first couple ones, don't even give her the melody. Don't even tell her what my melody is. I don't want her to know that. I want her to come up with her own melody, and she's come up with these gorgeous melodies. So I mean, she is a gifted writer.
No, I'll say too.
She isn't aware
the
of
thing
it
about
yet,
you too is this I see automatically is like watching you sing. There's that thing. I think it's been because of I think Whitney, Mariah Carey. They've been criticized for it. You don't over sing. You have a voice where you don't just all of a sudden, you keep it within. It's like a perfect person for that. He's not a singer like you, but one of my all-time favorites, Nick Cave. We probably don't know who that is. Well, he's a goth devil worshiper, so you would have. But he knows his range. And one of the best concerts I've ever seen. Him at the Electric Factory. He's got a stage presence, but he knows his range of what he can sing. He's not like a great singer, but what he sings is good for him. And you can sing pretty much anything, but you don't go crazy with the voice and kill the song by just screaming and everything else.
It's funny you say that because I thought I did that a little bit at Abilene because I was just having a good time.
You did
back
though.
to the
No,
recordings
you keep
and
it
I was
all.
like,
No, you keep it. I think so. Do you think so?
What I like is there is the controlled delivery.
That's what I mean. Thank you for the more pedantic words.
But when she decides to blow it out, I mean it's huge. Like some of the closing lines in certain songs, like the more up-tempo songs, I mean just end with this spectacular vocal thing that starts as a scream and then tapers off. And so some of the biggest responses we get from the crowds are at those moments.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think the cool part, for me, it's like my little secret with all my friends who play, where I just love, especially when you go away from Rochester. You'll go see, I'll go on the road to see friends, and you see people who've never seen them and don't know who they are, and they get blown away, and you're like, ha ha ha, I know. Now, how was your gig in Buffalo too? You just played good bars. Was it fun?
Yeah. Well, that was, it was one of those gigs that everybody has all the time, where the power went out for the main PA, and they couldn't do that, and then it was some Christmas raffle that was told that they could have the stage till 8, but we were starting at 8. I mean, everything went wrong. It was 2 hours late, but then we did a quick 45-minute set, and it worked. I mean,
that's
we
the
knocked
thing.
the
You got to
crowd
be
down,
perfect. You're going to
Yeah.
have, like Julia, you're going to have times where that happens, where you go on, the sound, like an amp blows up, and the sound, and you get the idiots in the audience who weren't there for the show, or like acting like complete fools. I just hate that. When I go to a show, I want to see a show. I can't stand like people who don't respect the bands.
Right.
But you're going to have times when you go on like that with something. You trip over something. You know, you do something.
Yeah,
you
and you're
spill
going
a
to
drink
have
on
the
stage.
empty room. You know, you're going to have the crowd that hates you.
Yes.
You're going to
Always
have
remember
the promoter
this.
that tries to stiff you, or the bar owner that's like, you didn't bring your own
like,
people, so we're only going to give you 50. You
A
know?
certain bar owner I
know,
knew years and years ago, he used to do this. A band drove in the winter from Winnipeg, and he screwed them out of the money.
Yeah, it's a crazy world in the music world, you know.
You know, but the thing
But
is,
when it works, I mean, you do it because most of the time it does work, and when it's working, I mean, there's no mental place that I enjoy more than being in a groove.
Yeah.
You
it's
know,
like
that's
from all the fun stuff in my life. It's my way to get away from stuff and support all the
Exactly.
talent
Yeah.
too. It's like my little thing. And I was telling Danny again. It's like, if I would have just bought it, you would have had the best tribute show ever. He started laughing. But I think that's the thing you got to remember. Okay, take the Michael Caine advice. Michael Caine would do like 4 crappy movies. And he would say, I'm honing my craft as long as you do a good one.
Yeah.
If you go in there and you're going to have times, the weather, whatever, you're not going to have it. You just have a couple friends there.
Yeah,
Consider it like a private show and you're honing your craft.
exactly.
And actually, some of the people I've seen play some of those shows, they have more fun than any show. I was at one show with a friend. It was like me and him. Another. It's like, what song you want to hear now? What song you want to hear now? And it was just fun. You have to take it that way.
We've been at parties where there's been as many band members as there are guests of the party, and
those are fun.
those are the best.
Yeah.
And it's
When you've
great.
got a listening audience, it makes all the difference. I mean, the gigs I actually hate the worst are when you just go play to some bar full of people that are watching the sports on the TV, and they're wanting to hear whatever the top pop songs are, you know, and then you're coming in and you're playing some originals or the weird stuff that you're doing, and they're just dead.
Now,
to
this
you,
is
you know.
me.
But
I
when
think-
you've got a musical audience of people that are listening to me, that's the greatest feeling.
Well, I think like Love and Cup. You were in Love and Cup Idol, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the choice there.
Yeah.
I actually worked there
shout? Yeah, I know because of Leslie and everything. I had to shout it to Leslie, obviously. So have her sing for you when you see her there. No putting pressure on you. Okay, you can kill me for that one.
Oh my gosh.
But how did the Love and Cup Idol go? We have a lot of people from Love and Cup Idol out here.
It was really good. It was that hiatus period during COVID. So it started before COVID shut it down. I think I had made it to the top 3 by then. Yeah, it was the top 3, and then it shut down. And then they waited like a year and maybe a year and a half. My frame of reference is really bad.
Oh, we're all
It's
like
so
pandemic
bad.
time,
It's so
yeah.
bad, yeah. So then they continued it back in September, I think, October. And I made it to the final 3. I placed 3rd. And then Miriam Morelli got 2nd and Tremaine Graham got 1st. And they're so incredibly talented. It was such a pleasure to go, and we had to do duets. So I got to sing with both of them.
You talk about a place that promotes music.
Oh, they're
every
fabulous.
type, local and national. You could go see members of Frank Zappa's band. You can go see like Joyous Noise. You could just go see the Woodland Critters Christmas show.
Bill Kirchner last week.
Bill Kircher, yeah.
It's
His
a
holiday
wonder.
show.
I love the dynamic of that place in the sense that you get the ownership and management is like, what can we do so that we can just have music? And they're like, oh, well, let's create an outstanding restaurant and bar as well, you know, and bring it
But then
along.
obviously
I mean,
Danny
you
with
just- you can
Abilene,
tell.
who so many
Yes,
people I've
yeah.
met because of him and
Yep.
stayed on. And
Danny
everything,
is an absolute treasure in the Rochester music scene.
you know, and all those. And you just know, you see people too, you just know the next time they play, they're not going to be in a small venue.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. You know, and it's been so tough with getting credit to all these owners. They've done such a good job under really tough times. Which is just, another thing. I mean, these are crazy times. It's like, well, let's start a band during the height of
Yeah.
everything. But this has been great, guys. It's been really fun having you on. You'll be back,
cool. Thanks for
obviously.
having us.
We have to come back and talk philosophy. That'll be a big
Yeah,
sell.
there we
That'll
go.
be a big sell
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
But we have a really treat again here, and we will. Okay, we can find you on Hot Soup. I think everybody could spell that.
Yep. Hot Soup. We have a Facebook page, we have a website, and we have a YouTube channel. But we'll get more organized on that.
Yeah, and we'll
as we
keep
move
keep
forward.
putting out stuff when, you get going on that and everything. You have to record stuff to.
Right, hopefully that's in the cards soon.
Yeah, we're talking
And
about
then
this spring.
your flautist solo album.
Oh, my God.
there we go. I know now that
You've
now that
gotta
I found
work
out
that
about
in.
the
You had to
lyrics,
say it.
I'm
No,
never gonna shut up
I
about
hate
that.
that. I
man.
hate those fans with the more cowbell. So one of your shows, I'm just gonna go more flute
Oh my God. Maybe I'll bring it just for you then. We'll see.
All
We'll
right.
see.
and everything. But we have actually a very good. And Paul, thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having us on for the last show.
peanut gallery there.
Another country heard from.
Am I allowed to sneeze?
Yeah.
Can you sneeze on command? I guess so.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how to top that.
That is the talent for
But
today.
the show's
Triple
been
silent
really
days.
the show's been really taking off here. We appreciate everybody listening. Thank you, my friends in Nashville, for really helping you take off. And we'll have a lot of fun stuff for you next year. And yes, we don't record these in order, so there'll be more after this year. But we have a real treat. You don't have to tell us what it is. We're going to take a little. We're going to leave because we're useless, Paul and me. But we're going to have a live performance by Julia and Jeremy. So,
Maybe not.
and if it doesn't work, we'll play some flute music.
There we go. There we go.
Okay, thanks
We'll put
very
some
much.
Christmas
you do.
music.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. This was really fun.
Yeah. Cool. Bye.
When the gold is intersect between your fingers, and the stage light casts a shadow in your mind, all you hold will never linger, and the curtain falls on what you left behind. I'll say goodbye to you, Rosita, on that morning. I'll meet you where the distance meets the sand, where the real turns to quicksand in the lightning. I'll say farewell to you, Rosita, when you run. Can you see yourself behind you in the mirror? There's a taste of water, leave you dry. Can I say these lines? Can I make it any clearer? When the music fades, will you tell my one more lie? I'll say goodbye to you, Rosita, on that morning. I'll meet you where the distance meets the sand, where the real turns to quicksand in the lightning. I'll say farewell to you, Rosita, when you run. I can play for you another lost cantina when your other lovers done your real name, that you were famous once, always did ballerina, with the cowboy bruised and broken by a game. I'll say goodbye to you, Rosita, on that morning. I'll meet you at the distance, meet the sand, where the wheel turns to quicksand in the lightning. I'll say farewell to you, Rosita, when you run. I'll say goodbye to you, Rosita, on that morning. I'll meet you it's your face, and the curtain is high. Oh, your daddy's rich, and your mom is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Summertime, and the living is easy. Bees are jumping, and the captain is high. Yeah, daddy is rich, and I heard that your ma is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. Summertime, and the living is easy. Fish are jumping, and the curtain is high. Oh, yeah, daddy is rich, and your mind is good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. So hush, little baby,